guys, welcome back. Today's conversation topic is going to be about non-contingent reinforcement. So in the past, we talked about positive and negative and the differences between the two. And they're both pretty similar except for the fact that one, you add in a reinforcer, and another one, you take away something that's super, super like uncomfortable, bothers you, like you just want to get away from. Those are the main differences. Non-contingent reinforcement is a little bit different because it works on it operates on the motivating operation of satiation. And so I'm trying to make these videos a bit more like colloquial, and so like everyone can like listen to it and hear it and understand it. So I guess to put it in a more like understandable way, you're kind of focusing on giving the person what they want on like shorter interval times, regardless of the behavior that's occurring, so that you won't see the problem behavior in the future. And an example of this, for example, is let's say like a little kid really likes candy and he like throws chairs every 15 minutes because he wants candy. So what you would do, or a possible option using non-contingent reinforcement, is to give candy every 5 minutes, like a small tiny piece. Because obviously, you know, if you give a whole piece, like you might have more piece. A small little piece every 5 minutes. And the idea is that because he's getting a small piece of candy every 5 minutes, he's gonna get full on candy. He's not gonna want it as much. It doesn't become as like desirable for him to have that candy because he's getting it so often now. And so the hope is that you will not see the chair throwing behavior anymore because he has access to the candy. And this works with tangibles, activities, attention, escape. And with non-contingent reinforcement, the word non-contingent means that you receive the reinforcer regardless of your behavior at the time. So even if the kid is picking his nose, if the kid is throwing a pencil, the kid's screaming, if the kid's doing his homework, you still give him the candy. And it's a bit confusing because you think that you're reinforcing the behavior at the time based on the principle. To make it a bit more clear, it's like, let's say the kid is throwing a pencil and you give him the candy because you have to. Like that's the protocol. Like the timer beeped at 5 minutes, he threw the pencil, you have to give him the candy. So it gets a little gray because you're kind of just like, well, I'm giving a candy right after he threw the pencil. Will he more likely throw the pencil again? You know what I mean? But the target behavior at this point is just throwing chairs because of the candy. Another good example is a child pulls down his pants every hour around every hour because he just doesn't want to do work. So an escape, he's trying to escape work. So what you could do is you could allow him breaks every 15 minutes. And hopefully because he's getting those breaks, the desire to escape decreases and he will less likely pull down his pants. Following me? So that's the idea of non-contingent reinforcement, and it's great. It's an interesting one because you definitely have to look into the function of the behavior. Positive and negative reinforcement, you kind of look more toward the reinforcer, but this one you need to look at the function of the behavior to kind of identify what the reinforcer is and to work on the satiation of the motivating operation. It's also pretty interesting too because non-contingent reinforcement can also be used as a baseline as a control condition for some experimental designs. And so it's a bit confusing because you think, oh, shouldn't the baseline, like if you're doing alternating treatment where it's like baseline treatment, baseline treatment, baseline treatment, it's kind of weird to do non-contingent reinforcement treatment, non-contingent reinforcement treatment, non-contingent reinforcement treatment. And the idea is that if you want to use non-contingent reinforcement as like the control to kind of, it's what shows that there's a functional relationship between the two variables that you're manipulating in an experiment. Because what happens is non-contingent reinforcement is, like it says, non-contingent. It doesn't matter what you do, when the timer rings, you get what it is that the reinforcer that's assigned, right? So you could literally be staring off into space and I could still give you $100 if that's what the treatment, or like that's what the program says. So using that in an experimental design, you're getting XYZ regardless of what you're doing. But then in the treatment design, you need to do something in order to get X, Y, and Z. And if you're likely to see the target behavior more in treatment than you are in the contingent reinforcement, then you have a functional relation with the behaviors. So it's pretty cool if you think of it that way. It's a very interesting setup in terms of design. I definitely would want to try that. I haven't used that yet, but I definitely would. So yes, that was a brief overview of non-contingent reinforcement. I hope that made sense. I hope it wasn't too confusing, and I hope that it was a little bit more clear than other sources that you're reading or books, and a little bit more understandable and more colloquial, I guess. But thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.